talking, having a great time. It's like in the 90s when films and they showed like a group of friends having dinner and they're all like laughing manically at each other. It's like, that's not what dinner's like. I'm Dave Chapman.
I'm Rob Kernahan.
And this is Realities Remixed Live, an original podcast from Capgemini, and this week co-sponsored by Google. We are live at the Mandalay Bay in Las Vegas at Google Cloud Next 2026. And of course, it's not just Dave Chapman and Rob Kernahan. We have got a roving reporter, Rachel Belmonte, with us. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you.
Day two.
Day two, big day.
Yeah, so this is the formal kickoff day, I think.
It is. Keynote, first thing. Yeah. Queues. Well, people were queuing at 7 in the morning.
7 in the morning.
7 in the morning. By 8:30, it was full.
I mean, like those are enthusiastic people.
It's like it's a gig, isn't it?
Googlers are very enthusiastic.
A sense of sort of fan hysteria about the thing.
Definitely. Definitely. I mean, the queue was coming all the way down, but into the restaurant section. Incredible.
That's exactly, yeah. So for those who have not been here, there is a convention centre to one side of the Mandalay Bay, which is a very big hotel, and the walk from kind of the main sort of hotel casino bit through into the convention centre is a reasonably long walk. It's like a 5-minute walk.
I think it's longer. I think it's a good...
It feels like it's a decent walk.
It is a decent walk. You do get your steps in.
And that was full as a queue.
That was, full. And it was not just a single orderly queue, it was mass.
Yeah.
Mass crowds.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's a bulky queue. So what, from a personal reflections point of view, the sort of the first real day of the conference today, how does it feel?
It's still, if I'm honest, quite overwhelming because you can never really put it into context, the scale and the amount, to Rob's point, all the enthusiasts, Google enthusiasts that come. You
got to love a happy nerd.
Yeah, indeed.
But yes, obviously a lot of hype about the keynote, which, I think is pretty deserving given some of the stuff they did announce.
Well, we're going to cover some of the keynote stuff, but I can actually speak today, which is quite nice.
Yeah, you've got your voice back.
I have indeed, and we just found out that one of our guests today has also lost their voice.
It's obviously catching. I don't know.
It's a thing.
It's a trendy
thing.
There's another trending thing going on in Vegas, David, that I'd like to pick up with you, if that's all right.
Oh, yeah, go on.
So the listeners will probably remember that it's usually me that has calamitous experiences when we're away.
Uh-huh.
The throwing the meat juices around the restaurant, smashing of wine glasses, etc. last time, if you remember that.
I remember it very well.
I'm very pleased that calamity has struck you, Dave, instead. It's passed on.
It's one thing after another.
It's been in a very denting way.
Yeah, that's right.
So as I seem to remember, you've dented a number of objects. Would you like to go through the objects?
Remind me of the first thing I dented.
You dented your phone when I rang you and then tried to blame me. It was my fault for the dent.
I was so annoyed about it. I was in the airport and I was walking along quite happily in my own world. I was listening to an audiobook. The world was serene and very pleasant. I head into the lounge. Robert tries to ring me.
It's unreasonable, isn't it, David? It's unreasonable.
Travel anxiety. Where are you? And I got the phone out of my pocket. And I'd moisturised my hands, Rach.
Oh, you forgot that little bit of detail when you were retelling the story earlier.
And my phone's like a bar of soap.
So that was dent number one.
That was dent number one.
Then we arrived, David, and you received another dent. Can you remember which one that one was?
My brand new suitcase.
It's like absolutely brand spanking new.
First trip out.
High-end suitcase.
Yeah.
Take it out.
And it got thankfully, that one has been repaired to a relatively... it's not going to bother me. Let's put it like that. It's repaired well enough for it not to bother me.
All right,
but that was just putting his suitcase, a travel-on bag, into an overhead locker. Yeah. Surely that's its job.
But it wasn't the end of the dents, though, was it?
No.
You've done your watch in this morning as well.
Hit my watch on the fridge door.
Dented his watch.
No.
Yeah. I mean, it's thankfully, it's not hugely terrible, but that's not the only. Them aren't the only things that happened.
No, you did decide to smear salsa all over your trousers.
All my brand new trousers all over the back.
It's where he smeared it, though. It looks fantastic.
It's not a great location.
When did you do that? Last night?
When we were having dinner the other night.
So he's got that all over his.
But I didn't even know about that until the next morning. So that's great. Anyway, it's gone well.
It's gone well so far.
At least it was
But I
done.
just like that whatever it is whatever aura I have that attracts this chaos
You
to
passed
me,
it on to me.
I've passed it on to you.
Well,
So I've
just wait
lost
for
my
it.
voice and those 4 things. We've only been here for 2 days.
I know. I'm just waiting for what comes next.
It's a lot.
I'm quite excited about it though.
It's a lot. I think I might just go from here directly to the car and directly to bed.
I think that's probably
Just keep my head down.
Just as long as you don't dent yourself,
Yeah,
we'll
exactly.
be all good.
On that note. So, roving reporter Rachel,
Yes.
what are you hearing?
What am I hearing? In fact, where was I? So keynote today. Keynote said really early. I said 9 o'clock. Huge number of announcements. Going to cover off just a couple in this section. So we spoke previously about the Agentic era. I kind of sort of dropped that, little phrase. Google have done one better and have called it the Agentic Gemini era. There you go.
I see what they did there.
So this is the whole shift from assistants to agents. And then Google introduced a full stack platform, which they're calling the Agentic Enterprise Blueprint.
Right. So walk us through the layers of the new blueprint.
So they've got a number of different layers, in total 5. The first is the AI hypercomputing. Then they've got the Agentic Data Cloud, Agentic Defense, Agentic Platform, and Agentic Task Force. Those are the main 5.
Okay.
That's a lot of agentic.
Lots of Agentic.
So every layer.
It's almost like you don't need the word, but okay, we'll move along then.
Covered in the title, I think.
Well, that is part of it.
Yeah. So the new enterprise stack is a conversation that's appearing, I think, in a number of places at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%.
I think there's a few things that are going into it. There is clearly the new tech that's coming in, and the new tech legitimately does need like layered approach to technology or platform approach to technology to get these things to interact correctly, be controlled and monitored correctly, to have context around what they're doing. So I think there's entire legitimacy in terms of, hey, we need these new layers. Is it a transition here? So are we at a pivot point from, let's just call it the old enterprise stack, into this new agentic stack, do we think?
So the thing for me is I'll go back to architecture, Dave. It's a happy home I like to remain in. The ivory tower needs to think differently about how they build their stack for the future. So the way I think for me in my head, the way I summarize it is we need to think differently about how we wire technology together to be able to create business outcomes, results, experiences, improve whatever. And so it's kind of like a pretty substantial reboot at the technology layer about how you build. And so we need to throw a load of traditional thinking out and we need to bring some in. The problem is always the messy middle bit, or we're in that messy part of the innovation cycle where we're moving from one world to the other. And you've got this big burden of legacy and unstructured data, and you've got structured data, or you might not understand it correctly or not tag it correctly. And then that's like, it goes back to you have to sort that foundation out to get all this to sing and dance. But it doesn't mean you have to fix it all at once, maybe do particular areas and plug it together. But it's just a mindset shift. And with that, a lot of the technology people will need to think differently about the way they do stuff.
Good.
Well, on that, this links nicely into one of their announcements. So they announced Gemini Enterprise Agent Platform. So that's the full stack of building agents, the entire agent platform. So that's like the build, the scale, the governance, and the optimization. And pretty much they did it live with a single prompt in terms of coordinating then multiple agents. So they did a demo talking about a development agent, updated a ticket all via Gemini Enterprise. And now they announced that you can pretty much do everything in Gemini Enterprise, from collaborating it with Google Workspace and even to Jira. But the biggest gasp, and it was an audible gasp.
Was it a proper gasp?
It was yeah.
Is that like a murder mystery?
It was. They announced seamless operability now with Microsoft 365 and Gemini Enterprise.
That's playing on their open game, though. Google have always had the open ecosystem, and that's another example of them being open.
Yeah, so that was very big.
The thing that I don't see in the stack, that you do see in other variants of this stack, is the human agent chemistry or hybrid organization aspect at the top of the stack. Is that where partners fit in, do we think? Like, how does it all come together?
I suppose it's where Google want to stop playing in the game for enterprise, isn't it? And I feel like that's moving into other organization space at the moment. We've always discussed, would hyperscalers come up the stack and deliver more in the delivery world? Or are they just the purveyors of tech that allow you to deliver? And I think they're staying squarely in the purveyors of tech that enable delivery.
Well, on that note, a perfect time for us to switch to our conversation with Gina Fratarcangeli. She's the Managing Director, North America GSI Leader at Google Cloud. Gina, you're back. How are you?
Thanks for having me back.
It's our pleasure. It's lovely to see you.
Likewise.
Well, I do feel like I see you almost every week on LinkedIn.
Stop it.
You got an active personality out there.
There's a lot going on. There's a lot to share. Partners are doing great things. I want to help everybody look good.
What is your highlight of the year, or highlights of the? If you reflect back to last year's Google Next, we were sat in where were we? We were on the conference floor, I think.
Yeah, we were.
Yeah.
I would say the highlight is actually seeing, holy crap, it actually works, right?
Right.
The AI production, going from pilots to production and seeing just phenomenal results. It's actually working.
Well, at the time, we talked about two specific things. We talked about the imminent scaling journey that was about to kick off. And we also talked about the adoption lag aspect, if you remember, which is very, very, very fast technical innovation, which customers at times through innovation cycles or capability or whatever, kind of hard to keep pace sometimes with all of that.
Right.
I think both of those things have been highly relevant over the course of the last year, haven't they?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I think the mindset shift away from the technology and more to the applications and the focus on it is always a critical transition. So the conversations I'm having now aren't about which LLM to choose, but really more business operations and how it's going to impact their business, and kind of the executive suite not worrying about which technology is being utilized, but the fact that it's going to start delivering business outcomes. Yeah,
I find in the conversations I've had, and I guess first of all, it's worth just saying that just the amount of board level conversations that are actually going on is a really notable amount, and in both very large scale enterprises as well as what is referred to as the mid-market, which is still pretty sizable corporate organizations in their own right.
Right.
All the boards are talking about it, aren't they?
Yep.
And the sort of questions that I've been involved in with them have been, you're right, they're not technical, and they're almost philosophical in nature in a way that says, well, what does this mean?
Right.
What does it mean for my organization to operate in the intelligence age?
Right.
Are you seeing similar conversations?
No, absolutely. And it's about it's not even the AI age. It's just about how am I transforming my business? How do we not get left behind? And it is not just a CIO conversation. And the boards are ramping up and getting really savvy about the business impact.
Yeah, no, definitely. If anything, it's like the empowering of people. I'm hearing that a lot at the moment as well. And then it goes all back to that importance of change management and the need for strong change management as well for that user adoption. So,
Right. And really thinking through the business. What is the outcome you want? I heard an interesting thing this morning. Here's where we are. Here's where we want to get to. Forget how we used to do those functions. Let's just think about the outcome that we want to get to and completely reimagine how we get there.
Right. Right. And that's never been true of that completely reimagine. We've had a few conversations on the show about what transformation means at this point. And I think there are a couple of different perspectives. I'd be interested in your view on this. Yep. I think there was a traditional perspective, and I'll bias the question so you get a gist of where I'm coming from. But if you want to disagree, wade in.
Go for it.
So I think the traditional view of transformation is this kind of, we understand current state, we are going to a future state, and it's almost as if it's this like bounded program, which I'm not sure really beyond kind of managerial science that ever really existed within a human system. There's too many moving parts, and it's a constant evolution.
Yep.
And which brings us on to where this might go, which is moving into a state of having your organization just ready for constant forward change.
Yes.
How does that?
Absolutely. And it's been a long day. I'm thinking, it's the word in my head. It's not along a straight line.
Yeah. Not linear.
It's not linear anymore. It's moving in multiple directions, and on multiple planes, the different things are changing. And, historically with transformation, the IT department would go, yes, but we can't do it for this laundry list of technology regions. And now with AI and the tools that we're creating and the access to data that we're creating with BigQuery, with Looker, creating the semantic layer, you're now able to see, you're now able to get that data integrated and talking to itself in ways you couldn't. And then the AI is allowing you to process so much data from different sources. You saw that in the keynote today, really connecting disparate data systems autonomously without you having to do a ton of heavy lifting.
It was
in
just
the background.
one prompt. Yeah.
Amazing.
Incredible.
Yeah.
So within that world where, like how customer organizations are sort of thinking extremely profoundly and in a non-technical way about what it means to their businesses, that we're moving maybe into a more nuanced and, dare I say, sophisticated way of thinking about and framing transformational journeys as more like ongoing endeavors. In your role as partner leader, how are you seeing that resonate across what partners and Google, a partner and a client?
Yep.
What does good look like in that today? How is that changing?
Yes, I love that question because it looks so different than what it used to look like and what we were experiencing. So before it was Google work with a customer or partner work with the customer and then kind of throw it over the fence to each other. And that just doesn't work in this model because it is complex getting the right pieces together and thinking about where your business is going. So the conversations now are, we have a customer who is willing to embark on this transformation. Let's all get in a room together at stage 0 and design that solution together. Because the critical piece now is the partners have the subject matter expertise as it relates to the industry. Google has the technology expertise and knows what's coming down the product development path. As we sit with the customer, we hear their challenges, we see where their business wants to go, we see the business outcomes they want to drive. The partners bring the industry expertise to the table, we bring the technology, and we say, here's where you are, here's where you're going to take you, here's where all the landmines are going to go as we go through that transformation together. And what is so great about that now is the customer conversation. Everyone is in it from the first step. Everyone feels committed to it, and everyone is developing the solution together. So you go forward together stronger and faster with everyone embedded at the start.
Yeah, it sounds as if you can now do the full end-to-end with a customer, and you've got so many partners now in the partner ecosystem.
Right.
Like, how do you... I suppose that Google has now, if anything, the choice, as well as a customer does as well, of bringing in different parties, different partners to achieve that full end-to-end, all working in that ecosystem together as well. So, yeah.
No, there's a lot in that. And the other thing you're hearing a lot now is forward deployed engineers, FDEs.
Right.
Really critical piece in that process.
Just maybe take a pause on that and just define that for listeners who might not know that phrase.
Sure. I think it's going to mean a lot of different things. It's taking a much broader scope than the traditional. Traditionally, those were the folks who were actually building the products and then getting engaged. Now it's almost the folks who are building adjacent, I would say, but really understand the product and are thinking about it in a go-to-market way. So how do they bring that product to market? And how do we design the customization that these new products are going to need specifically for these client examples? So again, back to that stage 0 concept, really sitting down and saying, customer saying, here's what I think I want. Here's what I think I need. We say, here's what the product does or doesn't do. Here's how we need to change things or bring in other product features, functionalities to get to what you want.
So the sort of the technology build of it all is just way more upfront in the conversation.
Correct.
So instead of going through to use your word earlier, like a linear process of what should we do? Let's design what we should do.
Let's do a proof of concept.
Instead of doing that, you're like, well, let's just try and do something.
Right. Yep. Exactly how it's happening now. And that is truly what's happening in real life. And we are really excited about just the sheer volume of forward deployed engineers. We've got a partner engineering organization that does that work, but not at scale of where we're ramping up right now. I think 700 FTEs is what we're ramping up.
Right?
So
And
massive.
Well, the forward deployed engineers were part of the first press release of Google Cloud Next, where you said that you were committing $750 million for partners to help customers on this, agentic expansion.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I'm so excited about it because the partners have been asking for this, and the FDEs are a piece of that, but really the designing the solutions together is so critical. And it's not the technical only solution of it. It's really thinking through how much change management is that customer going to need? How do we start thinking about what their business is going to look like? and Google investing in it. We know we don't have all the answers. We know we're going to need the consulting partners who are expert at change management, thinking through the transformation, designing those kinds of transformations. And that takes work. And there is legacy systems. While AI is allowing us to do a lot more of that more efficiently, at the end of the day, the heavy lifting is really combining all of that together.
Right. So it is effectively a very large investment in supercharging FDE.
Yes. Well, yes. And I'm going to start using FDE as a much broader term than the traditional sense, because it's a super big investment in pre-close deal investment. So typically we would tie funding post-close once we're gonna develop it together, and now we're pulling that way forward. And I think it's really exciting for everybody, and the customers are going to win.
It is. And also I think it's exciting for the partners as well, because these people are bringing such subject matter expertise, really intricate knowledge that for some partners, they just may not have the resources to do. So the learning and the capability from some of these partners, it's going to be great.
Yeah. And you hit on a great point there. So the partners are bringing that industry expertise. But again, all those industries are going to be evolving. And our goal, my personal goal, since I support all the partners, is making sure they are ramping up and skilling. And we have to have the continuous flywheel of knowledge, information going to not only the engineers within the partner organizations, but their executives, their sales teams, and obviously their engineers.
I think if we zoom out of the specifics of what you guys have announced, but this idea of forward engineering is, or to put it another way, and it's analogous to sort of advisory-led engagement, isn't it, in a lot of ways, in the sense of like the customer expectation these days is, I'm not going to sit there and let you present a 30-slide deck to me. I get it. We need to do something. Can we just get on with doing it?
Yes.
It's like people want to get into a collaboration, don't they? It's
correct.
Completely changes any kind of sales dynamic.
Yes.
Feels very last generation.
Yeah. No, it's a much more exciting collaboration mindset from the start. And now we've got the investment behind it to support it. So what we're seeing is just a better experience and actually a faster outcome. We're getting to outcomes faster with our customers.
Yeah, exactly. Now, I want to go back to something we were talking about in the opening of the show, which is the Agentic blueprint. We touched on it briefly, I think, earlier. Rich, remind us of the layers of the Agentic blueprint. And Rich can do this by memory now.
Can I? There's a lot of announcements. Over 20, that just from the keynote alone.
Yes.
So bear with me.
I think there's 85 coming out still. So
85?
Wow.
Gosh, okay. So 5 layers. So you got your AI hypercomputing, Agentic data cloud, Agentic defense, Agentic platform, and Agentic task force.
So within that frame, in your head, being deeply involved in the partner ecosystem aspect of how you guys are taking that to market and looking to develop that as a blueprinted approach to these things, how do those worlds come together for you? Do you have partners knitted at each layer? Do you do one partner for one customer to do it all? Like, have you got a mental model for it yet?
Yeah. I think as we look at the GSIs, the big partners, they really need and have and are building capabilities and strengths across the stack. So I don't really think you should be breaking apart all that, because how you're going to market and how you're going to deliver solutions within the Agentic stack, I think you won't see as much breaking apart. So our partners need to know the capabilities, have strengths along there, and have an opinion on to what level the customers are going to need to do things. But more importantly, the partners are going to be that trusted source and change agent for the customer. So as the customer is thinking about things, they look to that partner to, as they have in most cases for probably decades, been the trusted source of information. So while Google's going to talk about things, they're going to look to the partner to say, yeah, here's what you need. Here's what you don't need. You need more of this. You've already got something similar. We're going to work on that tool. So I think the big challenge coming forward now, and as I have my conversations with customers, is a couple different camps, right? Keeping the controls on really tight and not letting very much agentic work happen. One pool. The other pool is, I don't want to call it a free-for-all, but opening the floodgates and allowing their employees to really build a ton of agents. So the conversations I'm now having with customers let's take it in the camp who let them build the agents. Okay, now there's agents everywhere, and I don't really have an understanding or a catalog of them or ways to understand all that entails. So I love a whole bunch of our product announcements now in terms of helping customers manage their agents, catalog the agents. Obviously, the security piece so critical. But tying that back to the partner ecosystem, right? They're going to look to the partners to help them deploy all those tools and to help make sense of it. And it really is going to be a change management process. And how you think about you running your organization, I suspect, as do many people, you'll have a big shift from FTEs to agents. And so as that workload shifts, how do you think about budgeting? How do you think about expectations? How do you hold the agents accountable? This is an area I'm super passionate about in terms of how are you holding the agents accountable and how are you measuring the agents on metrics? There's a lot of different schools of thought, but one I just heard, which I really loved, is a 3-strike policy on the agents. Meaning if your agent has gone rogue 3 times or done things you don't like, they're out. So in the same way you would treat people. So I think we're just going to start seeing a lot of interesting things on that.
The sort of the, what are they called? The hybrid organization or human AI chemistry is a really interesting field. I think like there's a lot of unknowns in that.
Yes.
Because on one end of it, you have, agents organizing themselves and having a HR department. And then on the other end of it, you've got, they're extremely sophisticated batch jobs. So like, should we just speak to it as tools? And in the middle of all of that somewhere, this is a word I can never say, but the anthropomorphization. See, I told you, I genuinely can't say it. Anthropomorphization, which is treating them, imbuing them with human characteristics. And of course, humans are really good at that. So we do that with our pets and we do that with R2-D2 and it doesn't even have to look like a human and we'll imbue it with some form of humanistic characteristic. That's quite likely to happen here. But I wonder what the balance is in all of that. Because you imbue it with human characteristics, you're kind of inferring human rights maybe, and you're kind of inferring certain things which may or may not be appropriate. I don't know whether you've started to unpick that yet.
You're getting deep here. You're getting real deep. Existential. What's going to happen? Go. What does the live mean?
Well, this is going to be 4 hours long, this show.
No, but in the context of thinking about the partners and what they're going to control, it's an interesting time because as the organizations evolve, you're going to now be asking managers to think about the process, their employees, their costs to run their process. But now if you're asking Joe, the manager, to realize I should have agents instead of all these people, what decision are they going to make, right?
Well, it's the ownership. It's their ownership of them as well. Yes.
The ownership of them. And so I think you'll see a lot more analysis and auditing, if you will, of workflows. And they're going to need third parties like our partner ecosystem to come in and say, have we optimized these workflows? Have we looked at it? And because I think turning the mirror on yourself for a lot of organizations will be really hard and uncomfortable to do. And unless you have an executive level who's forcing that, whether it be from a cost standpoint or a process optimization or driving additional savings, driving efficiencies out of the process, there's going to be natural conflict occurring.
Yep.
And I think bringing in a third party and some of our partners who are really good at doing analysis work is going to be a critical work stream.
It is tricky. And like on top of that, the point you made about like team leaders needing to think differently. There's a whole new raft of leadership skills I think we're going to have to consider, and there's a big coaching element to that. The human centricity of the move, even though we're likely to be bringing in vast swathes of automation and artificial intelligence, like where the human sits in that and the human role in that is such a fundamental question for our age, I think.
Yeah, and it's going to be really interesting. You just keep going down the path, right? So then the agents, you get to the point where the agents are assessing the humans, and the humans, right? You create agentic tools that are supposed to be making the process better. Then you have an agent assessing who's using the agents and scoring the humans on if they're using the agents or not using the agents and driving the impact that they think. So like who becomes the boss.
Right. How does that work? Well, that's a difficult. Maybe that's for next year's.
Yes.
Well, maybe even for next year, think about kind of the industry that could be leading the way on that.
Yep.
That's the first thing that's come to my mind. Who's going to be first? Who's going to be first?
It's happening, and it's interesting in the workflows of where it's happening. I was just chatting with someone who runs a sales organization, and they deployed agents to help the field sellers out in the field. And, there's a whole bunch of proactive information the agents are giving them, recommending next best action for the seller. But it's combining all those systems. And then it's scoring the seller, the human seller, on if they have or haven't used the tools, and the results they're driving are way more sales, way more profitability, way higher CSAT for the customer, because they are predicting and saying, I saw you haven't purchased as much as you needed to, or I saw our deliveries were flawed last month. So it's just the integration, because now we have this access to data, is just awesome.
Yeah.
Let's maybe bring today's conversation to a bit of a close by going full circle and going back to the customer who's at the heart of all of the things we've been talking about. If you were challenging a customer board about challenging like a board of directors on what they should be thinking about, whether it be to do with client strategy or some of the things you've been talking about, business reinvention, what are the core things you think they should be getting their arms around? Where are we now? April 2026.
Yes. Most importantly, I feel the board needs to be challenging every executive and saying, how are you going to transform your business with AI? I'm holding you personally responsible. That is one of your key KPIs. You need to present that to me in 30 days. And then I'm going to hold you accountable. So each one of the business owners needs to demonstrate how they personally are going to hold their team. And that will ripple down all the way through the rest of the organization, because then you hope each one of those leaders is holding each one of their process owners accountable. I also think they need to set up an advisory council to be reviewing and assessing. We're headed into uncharted waters here, right? So reviewing and ongoing assessing with finance, with IT, with executive leadership, with sales, with product development, an advisory board. So everyone is seeing what's happening around the rest of the ecosystem, because everyone needs to be learning. And there are absolutely agents, AI improvements that are going to happen both vertically and horizontally that can be shared across organizations. So setting up the visibility, setting up the accountability, and setting up some real key metrics that are in alignment with your business is how I would do it.
As always, Gina, food for thought. Yes. Thank you very much for taking some time with us in an extremely busy week.
Thanks for having me.
Before we let you go, though.
Yes.
Now, important subject. I think we've got the warm up out of the way.
Okay.
Now we're getting on to the tough stuff.
I'm ready. Bring it.
Now, we went for lunch the other day.
We did go for lunch the other day. We went to a place called Roadkill Grill.
Oh, no, you didn't.
Oh, we did. It was a little bit...
Grill.
Yes, it was a little bit further north of like the Vegas Strip.
It was on diners, drive-ins, and dives.
When we were driving there, it did look like, we were going somewhere.
It's locationally. Apparently, it used to be in the middle of nowhere.
Okay.
And like a housing estate has now grown up around. But all of that said, though, it was delicious. And what we thought was we'd ask our guests their particular taste on barbecue, and that could be, I enjoy all the equipment at home, I like doing barbecue, or it could be a particular place that you like to go to eat it, or a different take. And we've had some interesting spins on this.
We've had Korean barbecue.
Paella.
Oh, yeah, the paella. Oh, my gosh, the paella, barbecue. Which, was a speciality. I mean, it's a great speciality to have on a barbecue, isn't it?
So what's your take on barbecue?
I love barbecue, but some of my favorite is just down in Texas, and there's a place that I don't actually remember the name of it, but they just give you meat on paper.
Right.
And so I'm like the meat on paper place. So yeah, I just like really good barbecue, sweet sauce. Yay.
Sweet, not spicy.
Not spicy.
Not spicy. And like brisket or
absolutely
burnt ends.
I'm a big brisket fan.
Well, you went straight for the burnt ends, didn't you?
That was
that was
their recommendation.
Yeah.
The little bit of crunchy, you like that?
Yeah, but actually they did it in a way that it wasn't like tough. It was like tender, quite moist.
Ooh, I'm going to say one actually just the last time. Zingerman's in Ann Arbor, Zingerman's Roadhouse. If you end up in Ann Arbor, Michigan.
Oh.
Spectacular.
You need to try and find a trip to Michigan.
Yes, we certainly did. Sounds
Amazing.
brilliant.
I must admit, actually, just saying, so I'm going to dwell on now the barbecue quite a bit. When I was last in Texas, I had smoked turkey, and it was the most delicious thing.
Right?
Yeah, it was the most delicious thing. I mean, we have turkey for Christmas, really, and obviously yourselves for Thanksgiving as well. But yeah, it was brilliant. I loved it.
Was it like pulled?
No, it was just
So
It was just sliced,
juicy.
Yeah, it tasted amazing.
It's like that crazy turkey thing, isn't it? You guys do for Thanksgiving, where you
We eat
get
a
a
lot of
massive
turkey.
vat of boiling oil, and then put a.
Yeah.
So have you ever
The
tried
videos
doing
of
that?
watching those people set it on fire. Like,
crazy.
just what are you doing? No, my kids, when I enter the kitchen, just say, step away from the kitchen. Not one of my skills or my gifts.
Well, look, on that note, thank you so much again for joining us today. It's great
Thank
to
you.
see you.
Thank
Hopefully
you for
see you
having
next
me.
year.
I hope so too. I enjoy it always. Thank you so much.
A lot of fun.
Want to dive deeper into today's topics and what they mean for your business? Drop us a line at realitysremixed@capgemini.com. We're on LinkedIn. Connect, DM, and send us your questions for future episodes. And hey, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe. It helps us make the show even better. Big thanks to Gina, our sound wizards Ben and Louie, producer Marcel, and of course you for tuning in. See you at another Google Reality soon.